Hey, Patricia Treble is back from Ottawa, where, of course, she covered the King and Queen's visit for us last week, and she joins us now for another royal roundup. And Patricia, still all choked up after seeing the King and Queen, so thank you for the great work you did for us last week.
It was my pleasure. It was my pleasure.
All right, give us your highlight. Looking back on the week that was, what was your highlight, and how's this being received, the King's visit?
Look, I think it was a big success because it did what it was supposed to do. I mean, it focused on Canadian sovereignty, right? One of a royal biographer who's one of Charles's critics actually called it his finest hour since after the coronation. A triumph of democracy, and I think that was what it was. I heard from so many people who said they actually watched the opening of Parliament for the first time. They said, now I understand the whole thing about Black Rod banging on the door. You know, they'd never seen it before. That was the import. That was what was meant to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Meantime, we actually have an update on the King's health, right?
Yeah, so at the very end of the week, an official at the palace, unnamed, gave an update and said what we all have been thinking, because he's doing the weekly cancer treatment, he's going to be living with cancer for the foreseeable future. And says that he's doing well. Like he says, they don't see a difference in him. And look, we're living through an amazing time in medical science right now. And you certainly saw it in Ottawa. I mean, he was incredibly busy. And I've done the data. I mean, he is by far the hardest working royal. He is well ahead of his sister, who's notoriously a workaholic. He accounts for a quarter of all royal engagements this year. Him alone. So I think everything is going along as expected, but he will be living with cancer.
Okay.
All right. Meantime, there were reports in the British press yesterday that Harry and Meghan have discussed apparently switching their surname to Spencer, which of course was Diana's, Harry's mother. What more can you tell us about what is kind of an explosive report?
This is something. How much do you have to hate your family to want to switch your last name? I'm going to be honest. That was the first thing that popped into my mind. So this is a report, the Daily Mail, the diary editor, who's very plugged into the Spencers, was talking with Diana's brother. So this is apparently a report. Harry was talking with Diana's brother, Charles Spencer, and was talking about switching the name. So the royal's last name is Mountbatten Windsor. And was talking about switching it to Spencer, Lady Diana Spencer. Now, Diana's brother cautioned against it, said, don't do it. It was a can of worms, basically. And I have to agree. I mean, they think of themselves really as the true heirs of Diana with her legacy of, openness and with all the charity work. But it's really disrespectful to his grandparents, who are literally the Mountbatten and the Windsor in the last name. And it opens the can of worms about their title. I mean, if you're going to change the last name, do you keep the title?
Well, we were just talking about this not long ago, about the Sussex title, and is that legitimately their surname or not? And we were just figuring that out. And now
exactly. So I'm going to say I found it highly interesting that he even broached the subject. Yeah,
that's a contentious one. Will and Harry have problems already. I can't even imagine.
I think this would be explosive.
Yes, I agree. Okay, speaking of Meghan and Harry, Meghan just gave an interview to a U.S. business magazine about her latest business venture with the As Ever brand.
We're not going to see any new products for a heck of a long time.
That's it.
Yep. So 2 months ago they launched. Everything sold out. Remember, you had the jam, you had the edible flowers, completely sold out. And since then, they've just stayed sold out. They haven't restocked. So she told Fast Company that not only no new products coming until next year, but they might not even restock.
How much was in stock, really?
This is the thing. But the question is, when you're starting a new business, you want to keep the momentum going. You want to have that momentum. And it's basically with new products, and it's just all evaporated.
All right, but I guess how do you build momentum, right? By having sold out stock, or I really want it, but I can't get it. Does that create more of an appetite?
After a year, it becomes an issue, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So, all right, here's one thing we do know. Maybe you can't get Meghan's jam right now or edible flowers, but the Royal Gift Registry has just been updated. Now, this is a list of items given to the royals by officials and the public.
Yeah.
And you got some of the highlights for us?
Oh, this is my favorite thing. So they are massively behind. They've had a few things on their plate the last few years. So they dumped 4 years of gift registry on us on Friday. Oh, my goodness. So everything has to be accounted for. Now, I'm going to say you can use it If it's edible, you can eat it, but otherwise, it's not your personal property. It's part of the royal collection. Okay, so just so we're clear about the glamorous. Kate got a Lego bouquet of flowers. Okay, they have more sports gear for the kids. They could outfit teams. They could outfit leagues. They have so many jerseys and pieces of sports equipment are given to them. And then you've got the ceremonial. So the RCMP for the 150th gave the king a ceremonial sword, and you had the ceremonial sword, and then of course you have the horse, Noble, which he has.
That's the one that stood out for me. They were gifted a horse by the RCMP.
The RCMP does this regularly. They've been doing it for a long time. So, but the sword is lovely. Then you've got the little things. So for the coronation, Joe Biden, among the gifts that he gave, among them was a pot of honey from the White House, which I thought was lovely. You know, for the king.
Yeah.
And then there's the extravagant. The King of Bahrain. What do you give your fellow king for his coronation?
Oh boy.
A Rolls Royce.
Sure you do.
A Rolls Royce.
Yep.
Well, I think that's just standard operating procedure from king to king.
Anything less would be unacceptable. All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks, Patricia.
You're welcome.
All right.